Maya Angelou once said, "Each time a woman stands up for herself, she stands up for all women." Welcome to Her Story, the talk show that celebrates the strength, resilience, and achievements of women from all walks of life. In each episode, we delve into the stories, struggles, and successes of extraordinary women who are making their mark in the world. Get ready to be inspired, informed, and ignited with Her Story, with me, 𝗬𝗫𝗀𝗀. Before we begin, let me take this opportunity to thank our location partner, Home Basics, for this beautiful set. Home Basics is a premium furniture store with all your home and office furnitures and decors. And now, let's meet our guest for today. Our guest today was the host of a talk show, 𝗬𝗏, on BBS in 2015 and 2016 that promoted positive youth narratives, empowering young people around Bhutan to take action and become conscious change makers. She also worked for Kozu FM station for 3 years as a radio jockey. She is one of the 25 young leaders of She Decides, a global movement to create a world where women decide. She entered the world of films and has worked on various Bhutanese movies and even wrote scripts for Samo. She has recently published a book, a collection of women's stories. I'm proud to present to you Sonam Yangday, popularly known as Yangday. Hi. The slow-mo walk.
To you.
Thank you so much for having me. This and here. There you go. I hope you're comfortable.
Nice and comfortable.
Right? I am very glad we secured this location for the shooting because I think it's only apt. I'm interviewing beautiful women and this is a beautiful location, right? So first of all, Yangday, thank you so much and congratulations on your book. How does it feel to have a book under your name already?
I want to be all egoistic and be like, yes, I deserve this. But there's another side of me that's just like really, really grateful for the opportunities. And I would like to thank a lot of people on the way who I met. There's a saying that people always say that, oh, you know, if you want to try something different and new, people will say, oh, you can't do it. But in my case, everyone's like, you can do it, just do it. So then I felt like, oh my God, everyone believes in me, I should do it. And we had a really good team.
What gave you the idea? What sparked in you the idea that you could put together 108 stories of different women?
It was delusion. No, the serious answer. Okay, so in 2019, as part of She Decides, I went to Kenya, Nairobi. There was this big conference on women and gender. And there I met so many people. And this was my first time in an African country, in an African continent. Sorry, woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I was wearing kiras. Everyone's like, which country, where are you from? But the cherry on the top was 𝗬𝗏 was there. And she was giving talks and talking about Bhutan and everything. And everyone saw her and was like, oh my God, Queen from Bhutan, she's beautiful. And they looked at me and they were like, you're wearing kira? Like, tell us more, like, tell us everything. And the first time in my life, I didn't have anything to say. And usually I'm a very talkative person, but I felt like, oh my God, now I'm like representing my country. Like, I don't know what to say. And they wanted to know more about women of Bhutan. And I'm like, So then I decided, I think there needs to be even for myself, like a collection of stories or anything where I can like know more of Bhutanese women and inspiring stories like you are doing right now. And then I can present it outside when I go outside and when people ask me questions. So that's how it started. And in 2020, I was like, maybe I should have a book and it can be 100 stories and I can write it all by myself. Totally wrong. And then the pandemic happened, which was a blessing in disguise because it gave me time to kind of reflect and look at what the book is going to be, whether I was serious or not. And it's also, when you decide to take on a project like that, it's like a commitment, and you also have to be ready to not make money. Because in the initial stages, you're just like writing and you have no idea and you have to do so much research and you don't know where the funds will come from. So just kind of mentally preparing myself for that and also like gathering volunteers and writers. It was a very slow process of 4 years that went into it.
I think you already touched up on this, but I want to ask you, what was the biggest challenge of being an author?
The biggest challenge is self-esteem and self-doubt. because you're always questioning yourself. And especially because this is my first book and I'm writing someone else's story. And it was just like, oh my God, what if I fail? It's all this negative self-talk that I had to deal on a daily basis. And also because I was leading a team of writers, it's like, oh my God, I have to also look after their mental health and well-being. So sometimes if they couldn't submit a story on time, I'll be like, let's talk about it. How can I help? You know, so it's also a definition of being a good leader is you just shouldn't like force your writers, like, I need the story on this time. Like, I can't do that to them. And all of them are volunteering and it was their first time and it's my first time. So just overcoming myself and overcoming the self-doubt of like, okay, I can do this. And even now, even though the book is out, I still question myself, like, is it good enough? Like, could I have done something better? And I think that's something that's always going to be there.
When you were in the process of writing that book, I remember meeting you up and you told me that there's a lack of a strong writers community in the country. Could you talk a little more about it?
Yes. Oh my God. So before, when Bhutanese writers, amateur writers, when they published any book like love story and stuff, I'll look at it and be like, I don't want to buy that. Even when I saw Bhutanese books in bookstore, and I have to like admit to this because when I used to go to bookstores, look at the books that I want to buy and read, a Bhutanese author will never be on my first list. And for me, I was like, oh, 𝗬𝗲_µµ, no, it's not good enough. It's not. And then I realized how much effort goes into it. As a writer, right, you're doing everything you can, like you're giving your best, but sometimes your best is not enough when you compare to international standards. That's first. Second, there isn't a community that supports writers to grow. So most of the time you're working in isolation, and whatever product you put out there in the market, it's in isolation, and you don't like, there isn't like a strong community. Of course, there are pockets of community that help you grow, and there are people who support you, but there isn't a group where we can all come together, learn and grow and have a club. So that was definitely missing. So for me, I didn't know who to turn to. So I would like ask advices from different people to know like what's going on, but there wasn't a community that I could just go to every weekend and talk about things and learn from them, first. Second, there isn't a strong reading habit in Bhutan. So I've realized that people don't read as much. And for me, like I have read so many books when I was in high school and I love reading. So I never really gave it much attention when I started. I was like, oh yeah, everyone's going to love reading it. But then I realized that no, people don't like reading as much. They prefer watching a film than reading. So that was also another challenge, is how do you encourage people to read your book, right? Like sit down, read something and then read your book. So that was also quite interesting to have like the observations that I learned on the way.
Is there a story that stood out?
Every story is so different, and all the women, the perspectives that they bring are so different. There's one who just talks about self-care, like taking self-care and how to do skincare. And there's another one who talks about just growing up in a very rough environment. So it's different situations, but everyone brings something to the table. And for me, I really love all the stories. And it also depends on my moods. If today I'm feeling a little sad, then if I read a sad story, I can really connect to it. But if today I feel like, oh my God, like I want to do self-care, and if I read something related to that and like concept of beauty and stuff, then it's just like, something that you can relate to at different times.
Based off of the book, if you were to describe a Bhutanese woman, how would you describe her?
Oh, beautiful. Bhutanese women are beautiful. I mean, look at yourself. Like, look at me. No, but
way to be humble.
No, but Bhutanese women are beautiful. Everything like we do, even if it's no makeup in the sun, doing gardening, it's just like there's something about the feminine energy. It's like so beautiful. Whereas men, I'm just joking. No, but Bhutanese women are absolutely beautiful. And they have so much resilience and strength. Have so much strength.
I agree.
I look at my mother and I just like, oh my God, I don't know how you did it.
Yes, let's talk about women who inspired you. Who are some women that you look up to?
I don't really think of it as inspiration, because I think it's like a double-edged sword when you kind of dump it on a person, be like, oh my God, you're my inspiration. Because I think that also pressurizes. I felt that when people come up to be like, oh my God, you're so cool, you're so inspiring. And I feel like, oh my God, I have to live my life in a certain way. So I try not to tell them that they're my inspiration. But I really do look up to a lot of women. I look up to I also look up to you. Look at you balancing your work and baby and being
a lot of the women do it. A lot of the modern women do it.
That's what it's like, so surprised. And I look at my mom and I was like, how did you raise 3 kids? Like, how are you doing this?
No,
like,
that's a challenge.
And I'm like, I can't do that. Like when I'm at this age where all my friends are getting married and having kids, and they're like, it's your turn now, Yangday, it's your turn. And I'm like, I'm a baby myself. I need so much growing up to do. Like, I can't do this. So I do definitely get intimidated. with so much resilience and strength, and it's like you're such an amazing mother, office worker, like friend, and then the next day you show up to a party looking gorgeous. Like how are you doing this?
You talking specifically?
Yes. I'm like, how? It's like, yeah, you're like raising a kid and you're also managing an Instagram profile and you're making videos. And I'm like, how do you have the time to do all of this? I would never know.
No, but you should be the last person asking that question because you manage it so well.
I manage it because I don't have kids. And I'm selfish. I'm like, today is self-care time.
No, I don't think so. I think women, modern women, young modern women now know a lot more about themselves. And I think this is something that women prior to your generation haven't taken the time to do that. We have followed the traditional footsteps that has been laid in front of us because it was easy. We never questioned it. You were openly bi-curious before you got engaged to your fiancé right now.
Partner.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Yes.
So where are you now then?
For me, a life partner was someone who I can it's a good partnership, right? I can work together with someone who understands, someone if I can come home to, I can just be like, babe, you won't like believe what happened today. I can just like vent out to that person. So for me, the longest time I was like, I don't care whether it's a guy or a girl, I just need that partnership. I want that. And I was curious and I had experiences too. But it's interesting too that at the end of the day, my fiancé, who we were friends for 10 years. So it turned out to be the person like I was friends for 10 years, right next to me, and he understood me. And I think from friendship to kind of like that shy realizing that you like each other to kind of dating was a very beautiful journey. And I wouldn't say that, I wish I had like dated a girl or stuff. But I think that journey itself is like really beautiful. That's why I don't pressurize myself too much that I have to like date a particular gender. For me, it was always open. I was like, I just need, and these days women partnerships are so amazing, like two of us working and we would understand each other's mood swings. Like, you know what I mean? So I thought like that would be so ideal, but I do have a partner who like really understands me. So yeah, I guess it's just at the end of the day, partnership, love. And that's why I tell my friends who are from the LGBT community that, if you're in love and if you get that, I mean, you're like really blessed. It's a blessing to be loved and to have love in your life. So yeah, I guess that's where I am. I'm just happy.
Yangday, you always have something or the other happening in your life. What are you up to now?
For me right now, I'm just working on a few stories and catching up on a lot of documentaries and movies. And I think this time period is very like resting, being at home, self-reflections and writing a lot.
You've written a couple of scripts and you're continuing to write scripts. What kind of stories do you like to write about?
That's a good question. So even though I'm like very like jolly and talkative and energetic, I don't like those kind of stories. I like dark, psychological, crime, and movies with no happy endings.
Oh my, really?
So I'm very, I like Netflix for me is all about crime documentaries. I'm always binging on true crime. I'm just looking out for characters that are a little different, they're a little psychotic in their head. I don't know what it is. It's just like, so I write stories about mental health, about death, about darkness, and I don't like happy endings. And it's just how it is. And
what is it about happy ending that makes you not want to write about it?
That's a good question. So happy endings, it just gives you this false, and I guess as an audience, we want that, right? We want at the end of the day, everything is going to be okay. But life is not like that. Everything, sometimes it's not okay. And sometimes that's okay too, when people who have survived traumatic experiences come out as a survivor. And I think we should respect that as well. And it's just, I don't know, there's beauty in darkness. There's beauty in embracing sadness, like talking about mental health, talking about not being a perfect human being in this world and how someone can deals with it. My first ever script was, my brother forced me to write it in lockdown because he really wanted to. He had a lot of time and he was like, let's just make a short film and just see how it goes. So write something. And the idea of the short film, the idea is, it's about a girl who's always on her phone and she's comparing her beauty with the people online, and she's going through all these complexes, and it's and then it doesn't have a happy ending. It kind of does, because my brother was like, it needs a happy ending, but I didn't really want to give it one. So yeah, it's about like how your beauty standard, like how you like self-worth gets affected because you're online all the time and you see beautiful people around you. So it's a reality, right? I mean, even now when I can say that I am a strong, independent woman, but when I'm always on TikTok and Instagram and when they see beautiful people living their life, you're like, oh my God, you know, you always seem to compare. So that was the first script, and the second one was...
And it's a film?
It's a short film, yes. It's
what
on
is
Samu.
it
It's called 𝗬𝗬𝘀cie.
Okay.
It's on Samu. And the second one is my favorite one. This is like a baby to me because I just gave so much of myself to that script. It's called 𝗬𝗴𝗡𝘀. And it's about a girl who wants to unalive herself. And it's just the story of how
I watched it.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
Yes. And in the end, the twist,
yeah.
it had me. It was just
I'm
chilling.
so glad. Yeah.
Let's go back to when you were younger.
Okay.
Now that you're very old, tell me about a core memory of your childhood that helped shape you.
There was one incident which happened with my father, and it was in the kitchen, and I kept saying like, I want to learn how to cook. I want to learn. He was like, you don't have to learn how to cook. It's okay. I'm like, I really want to learn how to cook. So he was the first person who taught me how to cook, and he's a really good cook, by the way. He really makes. I think I prefer his cooking more to my mother's. Don't tell her that. So he was the first person who taught me how to cook. I made like 𝗘𝗶𝘁𝗵 or something, and it turned out to be really delicious. So that memory is still there, kind of having. And after that, because my parents separated, I don't have many memories with him. So that one is really nice.
Special to you.
Yeah. But there is one which is not in my childhood, which happened recently with my partner. So at home, what I do is, because I'm a very anxious person, and sometimes if I get anxiety and stuff, I need to either sit down and breathe or read something or draw. And you know that Zentangle, you just like draw patterns, and it's nothing but you're just drawing on paper and coloring, and you're trying to like come back to yourself. So usually what I do is when I'm at home, I just draw lines and I try to color them. It can be any, like it's not even an art, it's just like you're drawing lines, you're trying to color, you're drawing patterns and stuff. So I do that a lot when I'm at home. And I think he noticed it, and he noticed that my eraser, so I didn't have eraser. So when he came in the evening, he just gave me eraser, and I was like, 𝗬𝗃, why? And he was like, oh, eraser zostamana, like, you know, so and I was like, what? And I started crying.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, you know. I
I
was like, it's the small things.
Exactly.
It's the small things. And he was like, I just noticed that you draw a lot, and you're always in your zone, and your eraser was finished, so I just got you. And he couldn't understand why I was crying, but it was really beautiful, and that's when I was like, I think this is gonna end up in marriage or something.
Oh, I think this is true love.
Yeah,
No, I think when people talk about romance and soulmates and love, we think of big, grand gestures.
Yes.
But it's these little things.
It's the little things.
Because you have to live with the little things. And if you miss the little things, you're missing the big picture. Because the little things make the big picture, right?
And it's also, I think for a woman, right, it's so important to have partners like that, especially women who are career oriented or who want to achieve something. Because if you get a partner who just like tries to drag us down, it's just too much. We're already carrying too much burden on our shoulders that we don't need something extra to like kind of pull us down. And it's just, so I'm like, touch wood, I'm really fortunate that do have, that's why I said like 10 years of friendship that turned into that. I think it really helps to have that friendship key foundation.
So before I interviewed Yangday, I asked her, we were on the phone, and I asked her, what are some topics that you really want to talk about on a show like Her Story? And she said sexual education and financial education for women. So I cannot have you leave the couch without you talking about it. So let's talk about, first of all, why are you so passionately involved with sexual education and financial education for women?
I only started dating at the age of 20, which is much later than most of my friends. But I never felt like I was missing out on something. I didn't feel like, oh, I really need a boyfriend in my life. I mean, when you're at a certain age, you feel like, oh, you need that kind of like boyfriend and love and all that cute stuff, but I didn't feel that. And I only started dating when I was 20. And my first boyfriend, he was, oh my God, such a green flag. He respected me, my body, my time. And he showed me what I should be looking in a partner. Because before that, I didn't have any context, right? And even even when we started to get intimate, or he would hold hands, or the first kiss or everything, always asking for consent. And it was like, yeah, it was so, for me, it was something new, and I didn't know that's how it's supposed to happen and be like. So he really set the standard so high that ever since then I've been very aware about people around me asking for consent. Even if it's a guy, like making sure that, are you okay with me, like holding your hand or coming near you? I think it's very important to do that. And because I grew up in that culture, I thought everyone's relationship is going to be like that they had this wonderful first time experience, but it didn't. Like, they didn't have a good first experience, or even like they were in toxic relationships, and I could see that some of my friends were suffering. So I really felt that there had to be, not had to be also, but there needs to be some kind of a sexual education or relationship counseling or guidance for the young people, because that's when you start exploring and dating. And to know, even for the boys to be like, yes, there is consent, and how can I be a gentleman? And for the ladies to be like, oh, kong de busi, kong de dare mina, you know, they won't cry, they won't feel pain. It's not that. I mean, even boys want to feel safe when they express their emotions, right? So kind of creating that space. So I think that's where sexual education is so important, and a lot of my work in the past and even now deals with talking about sexual education, talking about consent. When I go to high schools, I level it a little less, and I only talk about good touch, bad touch.
High schools, how do you go to high schools?
Through like different programs and initiatives. There was one called 𝗬𝗏𝗀 lamten, which we did for 2 years, which was with 𝗬𝗏𝗀𝗆 High School. We had some students, and we would do, every weekend we would do sessions with them, and it was only good touch, bad touch, consent, saying no to drugs. So with high schools it's different, but on a college level I'm more open, and I talk more like openly with them about consent and how to respect each other's bodies and respect each other's boundaries. And I think these kind of conversations are so important, because they're not getting it from anyone else. And they're getting it from the internet, and internet can be a very sketchy place when you go there to look for information. So to be that person where you can feel safe enough with me to talk about your experiences, I want to be that person, and I hope someday I can be that person for my kids as well, so that they can feel safe enough to come to talk to me about, oh, a boy held my hand today, like I felt this, and not to and not to 𝗬𝗏𝗀𝗀 and be like 𝗬𝗏𝗀𝗀, no, but just to be like, how did you feel? Like, it's okay to feel these things. So that's why I'm really passionate about the work. And financial education, because I'm very bad with my finances.
No, they don't.
And, and I always wished, like, I wish when I was younger, like somebody gave me like good financial training or some kind of a guide, not just mathematics, because there's like adding and subtracting, but like good financial courses or training. I would like join in an instant. And that's something a lot of Bhutanese, and all the Bhutanese friends that I have, everyone's like in a good job, and they're still like, oh, I can't manage my finances. Money just disappears at the end of the month. So as a society, I think there's some who are really good, but most are really bad with their finances, including myself. So I really wish and hope that there are more and more financial education workshops where people can take part, and not at a later stage where it's too late, but from a very early stage. Even as a student, you're learning about how to save in a piggy bank. There are initiatives that are happening, but just like more and more of that would be really nice, so that we can have a good life, have enough, have a GNH community who's good with money.
And tell me, what is your biggest fear?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Sorry, just like sprung it out of nowhere.
I know. My biggest fear, again, I live in my mind. My biggest fear is that I live in a simulation and all of this is not real. And I get so scared, because I feel like I've worked, it's like creating a make-believe, it's like creating a character in a make-believe world. I don't know whether you have played video games, but you're creating a character, you're buying things from them, you're coloring the character's hair. And then suddenly, what if you realize that it's not real, So I feel like in my life, I've put so much effort in having the friends that I do, doing the work that I do, building a life that I have right now, that someday I'm just going to wake up and it's all going to be gone and be like, oh, Yangday, it wasn't real, you were just dreaming. So I really am scared of that. And I know it's in my head, and it's like different kind of a psychosis and feeling like you live in a simulation. But yeah, I really am scared of losing the life that I have, right? Which is a good thing, right? Because that means I really love my life.
Yes. No, I was thinking, is it because you've worked hard for so long to find out, like you said, who you are and the partner that you have, the current situation, the living situation, the circumstances you've surrounded yourself with? Is it because you've worked so hard for so long that you worry that you might not have it for too long? Do you think it could?
Yeah, I also feel like I worry that someday it's just going to all go away. And I think that's also the problem with attachments and letting go. You know, you just want it to be like the status quo.
Yeah.
So I keep telling, when we were dating, I kept telling my boyfriend, we're staying boyfriend and girlfriend forever. We're not getting married because I like the status quo. And he's really good at just kind of bringing me out my shell. So let's just get engaged. That's not marriage. So then we got engaged. So I think it's like letting me take baby steps. Because I really like you work so hard to create a life that you do, that you want it to be the same way. And life is not like that. It changes. So for me, my biggest fear is that everything is so perfect right now that it might change. And you can't be scared of that all the time. You have to learn to let go, but that's also something that I guess I have to work with.
But you've conquered so much.
Yeah. It's
so
been an
long,
incredible life.
managed.
Yeah, I'm so blessed. I have had opportunities that others just didn't, and I've had the time to do those things as well. So I'm just like so grateful that I don't want anything to change.
Yeah.
If there's something better, then maybe I'll open up.
And I'm going to ask you my last question, which is the Barbara Walters question.
Okay,
I'm
go
going to
on.
give you a sentence, and you just have to fill in the blank.
Okay.
Yangday is
alive. She's alive, and I'm living life, and I don't want to die or let go of it.
a vibrant answer, just like yourself.
You know, the smartest person is always the funniest person, and it's me, both. Forgotten completely after I die. I don't want to be remembered for anything. Thank you. Yeah. I want to live a very good life and then be forgotten completely. No, absolutely not. I'm such an overthinker that even without other people telling me things, I overthink things about myself, so I don't want to know anything. If you have critiques and opinions about me, please keep it to yourself. I don't want to know anything. Just want to live my life, die happily, that's it. No! No. I'm not, I don't want that much money. What would I do with that much money? I want love.
As we conclude today's episode of Her Story, we're reminded of the profound impact of women's voices and experiences. Each story we share here reflects resilience, strength, and unwavering determination. Let us carry forward the lessons learned and the inspiration gained from these remarkable women. Together, let's continue to amplify women's voices, challenge societal norms, and celebrate women. Thank you for joining us on this empowering journey, and remember, your story is part of the greater narrative of change and progress. Until next time, keep writing your own Her Story.